Eyes of Iris by Joshua A.H. Harris. Narrated by Artemis Arthur and Scott Paige. File A.1. I've always slept like the dead, but then, about a week ago, out of the blue, my dream started jolting me awake in the middle of the night. Heart pounding, pouring sweat, and totally freaking out. They weren't nightmares, just snippets of commonplace experiences set in some historic or prehistoric time. But the visions were alarmingly real, like those hyper-realistic paintings, reflections of a gas station in a chrome fender type of thing. It was like I was actually there, in the flesh. In the first one, I was a young Italian woman in a blue dress sitting with a friend, sometime in the 1960s, licking melted nocciola gelato off my fingers in a beautiful piazza. I looked around and recognized everyone. The boy watching us from a distance, the shopkeepers, the kids playing soccer, and I could really taste the cream and hazelnut. When I suddenly awoke in my apartment, I bit down hard. Look, Doc, you can still see the purple semicircle under my fingernail. The next night, I dreamed I was a young boy in a white robe playing a board game and eating dates with my brother. The board had 3 rows of 10 spaces, and instead of dice, we threw 4 sticks. I jolted awake and grabbed my phone. It took 0 seconds to find out that I'd been playing an ancient Egyptian game called Senet. I'd never even heard of it before. My stomach sank. So the strange game in my dream was real? Like I said, I remember everything I experience, so obviously, I'd normally recall learning a game. Could I have possibly absorbed the rules of Senet while drifting off to sleep in front of the TV? Or maybe I read something about it when I was very young? And what about the 2 boys? And the Italian woman? Were they real, too, somehow? It had certainly felt that way. From then on, all my dreams contained similarly mysterious and vivid sensory material. Many lacked concrete details, like walking around in a nondescript desert following a herd of goats, stumbling around in a pitch-black cave and smelling smoke, or being strapped to a cradle board in the middle of a snowstorm. But others were easy to decode, like when I was swabbing the decks of a wooden supply ship named the São Miguel and singing in fluent Portuguese, a language I've never studied. I awoke and confirmed I'd been on Vasco da Gama's expedition to India in 1497. As you can guess, I started to feel a bit unsettled, a little unhinged. Why was this happening? What did these visions mean? I wasn't losing my mind, per se. But at one point, I found myself wondering if some clandestine government agency had somehow downloaded a bunch of seemingly random information into my head, inadvertently producing my weird nocturnal visions. Ridiculous, I know, but I was grasping at straws. I tried to act normal, hit the gym, focus on my studies, and hope that the visions would disappear just as they'd arrived. I decided they had something to do with my genius, that I absorbed much more information than I'd ever thought possible, like one of those giant NASA antennas, picking up everything that comes its way. And now, for whatever reason, all that data was just exploding out of my brain. No big deal. You get it, Doc. I was employing a necessary delusion, as you say in your book. A critical bulwark against insanity, as I recall. But then, a couple days ago, after a particularly disturbing dream in which I inhabited the body of a Cherokee man walking the Trail of Tears, I decided that I needed a real explanation for what was happening to me. I just couldn't fake it anymore. So I grabbed my laptop and headed to the place where I do my best thinking, the Rose and Crown. I ordered a Guinness, and my usual, an English breakfast. I'm a bodybuilder. Hope to go pro someday. But sometimes you just gotta go for it. And for me, that means good beer and piles of bacon, grilled tomatoes, fried eggs, black pudding, buttered toast. and sausages. I savored every bite, ordered another Guinness, and then spent all day reading everything I could find on collective unconscious, genetically inherited memories, reincarnation, past life regression, biocultural evolution, residual neural codes, parapsychology, metempsychosis, deja vu, deja vu, anything that might help me explain all the alternative realities floating around in my brain. None of it seemed right. In fact, most of it seemed like complete bullshit. One word, though, kept popping up on my screen. Ayahuasca. It's a centuries-old hallucinogenic brew used by indigenous Amazonian communities. I read a couple articles about psychonauts, people tripping their balls off in search of answers to ever-elusive questions. Then, I watched a video of some meathead from New York, deep in the jungles of Brazil, who thought he was communicating with his dead sister. I was about to turn it off, but then he turned to the camera and said, "Time found you, sister. Lost you, then found you again, dear sister." He looked completely zonked, but still, his words struck a strange chord in me. I felt something I'd never experienced before. The video felt like some kind of sign.